welcome back to another episode of the Public Opinion Show with your host, Pam. And normally Vanetta is here as my co-host, but Vanetta is off enjoying a vacation. So I have a very, very special guest host who's going to join me today. Her name is Artis Gaines. Artis is the producer of the Public Opinion Show. She is also a manager for Fathers and Families Together. So I really wanted her to join me today because I believe that she can add a lot to the subject matter because today is Father's Day. So let's welcome Artis Gaines. Hey, Artis.
Hi, Pam. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for agreeing to be my special co-host today. As I stated before, Artis is the producer of the Public Opinion Show, and normally she works behind the scenes, making sure that everybody knows where to be and getting guests. And so she's like a right-hand man, but now she's going to be a frontman also. So thank you so much.
You pulled me out of the background for this one.
I did pull you out of the background, but also you are very relevant to today's show because for Father's Day, we are going to be talking about fathers, and you are the manager for the Fathers and Families Together program.
Yes, I am. I've been a fatherhood practitioner since 2010. So managing that program for the last 12 years. So I think I can add a little something to this conversation.
Right. I like that term, a father. What is it? Fatherhood practitioner.
Fatherhood practitioner. Mm-hmm. That's what hilarious. They call us.
Yes. I never even knew they had fatherhood practitioner.
Nor did I until I became one. Yeah. Until they told me that's what I am.
Right. So you're very much an advocate for fathers. And, you know, fathers get like a lot of bad raps. You know, all you hear about is kind of bad things sort of about fathers. But, you know, we're here to honor fathers today.
We are going to honor our fathers, our person. Well, you know, unfortunately, your dad has passed, but I still have mine.
Yeah.
And your husband is a great dad.
A great dad.
You know, and these men that are out here trying to be advocates, you know, it'll be dads, you know, so like you said, most people say all fathers are deadbeats, and that is so not true.
No, that certainly is not true. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm looking forward to having our guests and discussing what we're going to be talking about. So let's get started and meet our guests. First, we have Magistrate Danielle Williams. Danielle is a magistrate with the Cuyahoga County Juvenile Court, where she presides over a private custody docket. Danielle is passionate about granting decisions regarding custody and visitation that are in the best interest of the child. She is married with 3 children. Then we have Maurice Stevens. Maurice is the president and CEO of Career Development and Placement Strategies Incorporated and Expert Reclaim Incorporated. Maurice has spent more than 30 years as a workforce development practitioner. He has trained other practitioners in workforce development across the country. He is a proud father of 3 children. And finally, we have Al Grimes. Al is the director of the Cuyahoga County Fatherhood Initiative. Mr. Grimes is responsible for developing, implementing, and managing the Cuyahoga County Fatherhood Initiative. He has managed the initiative from inception into a successful best practice program while securing millions of dollars for fatherhood activities, programs, special events from a combination of county, state, and federal funding. Al is the proud father of 2 daughters. All right, so join us in welcoming our guests. Well, welcome, and thank you all so very much for agreeing to be participants on the show, and I cannot wait to hear what your responses are to the public opinion question of the week. And so it wouldn't be public opinion if we did not have a public opinion question. So let's see what the public opinion question is. What is the importance of fatherhood and understanding your rights? All right, I love that question, especially for Father's Day, because like Artis and I were talking, fathers get a very bad rap, but there are so many very good fathers, and there are so many people, fathers, that want to be part of their children's lives. So it's very important for them to know what their rights are, also just to know what the importance of fatherhood is. And so I believe in ladies first on this show. So Danielle, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to answer that question. And so go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, when you ask that question, what is the importance? Number one, it's vital. It's absolutely vital, especially when you have a father who is who's present, who wants to be present, who's appropriate, who's fit, who's suitable. It's absolutely vital to the life of a child to have their father present. I think all of us as professionals understand the impact or the negative impact that happens when a child doesn't have a father in their life. So my single word for it, it's vital. They need to have their father present in their lives. And it's important that fathers understand that they do have rights and how to get those rights established. Many fathers, from my experience, as I sit on the bench at Cuyahoga County, many fathers don't even know that they can petition and they can get rights established by the court. So, education is key. They need to have an understanding that they do have a voice. They can petition the court. They can establish rights so that they can be a prominent and successful figure in their child's life.
All right, very good. I like that. All right, so Maurice, I'm going to give you an opportunity to answer that question. Go ahead.
Well, I just really feel that dads have a direct impact on their children's future, and fatherhood is linked to, better outcomes on nearly every measure of the child's well-being, from cognitive development to their educational achievement, as well as their self-esteem and their social behavior. And, I believe that Al Grimes could speak to that in a great deal, but, that's why I think fatherhood is so important.
All right, great. Now, Al, go ahead. It's your turn.
I think it's critical that both parents be involved in the child's life. There's no more importance of a father being involved than there is a mother. It's vital. And when children have both parents involved in their life, like we said, they're less likely to drop out of school, less likely to become drug addicts, less likely to go to jail. All the research says that when both parents are involved, the child lives a more positive and productive life. And the reason they have to know their rights is because some of the rights that they do not have sometimes does not make sense. For example, when a child is born to unmarried parents in the state of Ohio, custody automatically goes to the mom. So a father might assume, I signed birth certificate, I'm the father, I'm expected to pay child support. Why don't I have the same rights as the mother if I'm the parent? So if you don't know what you have to do to get on equal footing of the mother, then you will assume something that is not necessarily accurate. So it's critical to know what your rights are as a father, and especially as a non-custodial dad. Sometimes, we feel like sometimes as a non-custodial father, we should automatically have shared parenting. We should all have equal time and those kind of things. But there's a process that you have to go through. So that's the right side of it, to make sure that that you guarantee what you really want.
All right, great. And we actually have a couple of seconds left. So Artis, if you wanted to take just a few seconds out, I'd give you the opportunity to answer that as well.
I'm going to follow up again that it's vital that both parents are involved in their children's lives. Again, one parent is not greater than the other. And as Al Grimes stated, statistics show that a father being present in both of their male children or their female child's life is critical. And also, dad is the first line of what a man is to their daughters, and we don't think about that. And so a lot of these young ladies, whether it's their relationship, who they choose, sometimes go looking for dad if he was not in their life to be their mate. And, it's vital. It's just important that everybody is there to help raise their child.
Yeah. I like what all of you all said, because this is an opportunity, and this platform, I want to use it for education. And I like what you said, Danielle. You said a lot of times, a lot of men just don't know what their rights are. They don't know what they should do from square one, which is why I think the program that Al has is so important as well, because he can help men to know and guide them. Because Danielle, you're sitting there in juvenile court, so you don't know what's going on until they get there, but they have to get there. And so Al and Maurice is there to help, also help them with, employment strategies and things of that nature. So all of these things have to work together. But Danielle, you want to speak to what Al was saying about the rights that fathers do have, and the fact that, and in Ohio, a child that's born to an unwed mother, the mother is the legal custodian. However, at such time as a father establishes paternity, then that's when they become on equal footing for the father to petition a court for whatever it is that he wants to have. So you want to speak more to that?
Absolutely. So as he stated, in Ohio, right, under our statute, the mother is automatically designated the legal custodian and residential parent of the child if at the time of the birth of the child, mother and father were not married. And so once paternity is established, as you've indicated, and fathers petition the court, they are both now on equal footing. All right. And so at that point, that's when we determine what is called the allocation of parental rights and responsibilities. And so it's very important. It's very vital that both of them participate in these hearings. You learn a lot of information. And just like you said, they're coming to me with so much already, information that I'm not aware of, which actually impacts how long the case may take, or what next steps we put in place to service the family. But absolutely, this is the way that it has to be established here in Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Now, Al, what is it exactly that you do, or that Fatherhood Initiative offers to fathers?
Okay. What we do is, number one, we promote the importance of fathers being involved year round. You'll hear my radio ads, you'll see billboards, you'll see kiosks always saying, if you are involved, stay involved. If you're not involved, get involved. It's that important. The second thing we do is we fund programs. We fund about $1 million in programs to help fathers be there for their child, both financially and emotionally. Because like I said before, we can be there all day buying the new Jordans and buying some new Rockaware, but you have to be there when the child needs someone to talk to. So you have to have some parenting skills, some communication skills. And on the other hand, you can communicate all day long, but the child has to eat. So that we try to find a balance of programs that meets both of those needs, from a boot camp for new dads, for new hospital at all of the hospitals, to parenting classes, to job training and placement classes, such as Maurice's. We have a Prevent Premature Fatherhood program for teens, talking about not becoming a dad until you're ready. We also have a supervised visitation program, an exchange program to deal with those type of issues. So it's a range of programs, just to make sure that fathers have the best tools to be a good parent, whether you're living in the house of the child or not. One of the things that's interesting, we talk about being engaged and being involved. There's a simple question up front, is that, both moms and dads come to me and say, well, I want to see my child more often out the day. I don't want to see my child more often. I said, well, I tell you what, here's a really novel way that you guys can do that. And they look at me and they scratch their head, and I said, why? I said, well, get married. And you don't have to worry about it. Everybody's in the same house all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Hey, they look at me like I got two heads.
That's true, but unfortunately that's not what's been happening.
But I know, but the fact of the matter that's not even on the table, tells us how much work we have to do for the kids. See, at the end of the day, it's about the babies and what's best for them. And if that's
Yeah.
not even on the radar screen, we got work to do.
But
You
we've been
understand what I'm
seeing,
saying?
yeah,
And
we see that all the
now,
time.
so now,
Yeah.
so now we're dealing with the dynamics of parenting in separate households. Okay, and
Yeah.
and we know, as parents, parenting
Yeah.
is not an easy job.
No, it's
And
not.
the more
But that's the
difficult-
reason why we have to have it in the juvenile court, is because the parents are not married. Otherwise, they would be over
Yep.
in the domestic relations. And it used to
Absolutely.
be a time when there were a lot more on the docket in domestic relations as far as custody and visitation. Whereas now that has flipped, and we at juvenile court have a whole lot of
Right.
cases that are involving custody and visitation because parents are not married. And now, Maurice, I do want you to talk about what is it that you do, and what do you offer to fathers?
Well, I do workforce development training, which in layman's terms, in terms of the context of this conversation and my relationship with Al Grimes, I teach people how to become more successful at transitioning into employment. You know, we offer a strategic and methodical process to help people to really understand the most effective ways to go after opportunity, okay, whether it's entrepreneurial or whether it's employment. And, you know, the curriculum that we use is a curriculum that's offered by the GIST Corporation, which is one of the country's foremost authorities on workforce development. And we've been using that curriculum for about the past 13 years. And it really works. You know, it engages a person and engages in the process of helping them to understand who they are, right? Also understanding what it is that they're looking for. We help them to determine that by giving them a roadmap to defining their ideal opportunity. Then from there, you know, now that they know that, you know, what is it that they're looking for? You know, we want to explore, you know, what is it that you want to go after, and teach them how to go after it. You know, that's basically what we do. But then, you know, we help them find opportunity. Once they go through that process, you know, we partner with them to find opportunity that is conducive to their background and their skill level. We've taken it one step further in my organization, Career Development and Placement Strategies. You know, we started a carpentry training program that offers apprenticeships, and with the apprenticeship, you know, they go on to full-time employment, making really good money. And so, you know, yeah, so it's you know, workforce development is a key factor in helping a dad to provide for himself as well as provide for his family.
And you see, that's what's so important, is for them to be able to provide, because I know so many people that come before me are unemployed. You know, it's like one after another, always like, I don't have a job, I'm unemployed. But if they knew, and see, this is why they had to be educated, that they could go to places like Fatherhood Initiative, who could refer them to your place, so that they could have career development and training, so that they can get a job and take care of their kids. A lot of reasons why fathers get these bad raps too is because they say, well, they're deadbeats. You know, deadbeats meaning they're not providing, you know, for their families. Now, Artis, before we came on, you said that you are a fatherhood practitioner, which I had never heard that term before, because I immediately thought of a nurse practitioner or somebody, but I have never heard of a fatherhood practitioner. So I want you to please tell my audience, what is a fatherhood practitioner and what do you do? And I can vouch for Artis to say Artis is very much an advocate for fathers. You know, we had a lot of discussion, and she's all team father. So go ahead, Artis.
Well, I want to circle that question back around to Al to talk about where that terminology came from. But I want to talk about, I too manage one of the Fatherhood Initiative programs, and my program is about life skills, and we are the ones that offer parenting. But what I find out when the gentlemen show up, because most of the time they're coming to me because maybe the Department of Children and Family Services have sent them to us, because the playbook is everybody has to have some type of parenting class if they are trying to get their child out of the Department of Children and Family Services, or if they are trying to get custody of their child. You know, a magistrate would say, one of you ladies would say, you know, you need to take a parenting class, you need to have some life skill classes. But in the process of that, I'm a coach to them, and that's part of that practitioner part. is because I'm there to help them to remove barriers. I have a father that came to me that was in a county in Southern Ohio that the child was removed from mother. They never called dad. Finally, mom said, you need to get down here to get your child. When I got this gentleman to be in my parenting class, it was July of 2021. And just this month of June 22, he has his child. So it's almost taken a full year of me working with him, working with case managers that may not have the skills to even be a case manager to determine what is best for the child, working for whatever Gail that was appointed to the child. And one of you ladies could, talk about what a Gail's job is and what
Is she saying GA? You mean a GAL?
GAL, yes, GAL.
The guardian ad litem.
But they do call them gals.
Yeah, the gal, right?
Yeah.
That's what we call them, gal, right? Gail or gal. And I'm working with all these entities and attorneys, and just to get, it is obvious that the mother is not the best person. The father is here and is working, has employment, has no legal history or background, but yet 1 year. 1 year to get his child out of somebody else's foster care house. There's also, because this is an infant now, it started at 9 months, there's also jockeying, if you allow me to use that word, to keep this man's child.
Yeah. Right? Now, Danielle, you want to speak to the length of time it takes when cases come in and what the process is?
Absolutely. So as you know, these cases can take a long time. Specifically with child protective services cases, the agency or 696 kids cases, they actually have a more concise deadline, as we talked about earlier, for which they need to resolve their cases, particularly with our private custody docket. The Ohio Supreme Court has given us, somewhat of a rule that, these cases should be resolved in 9 months. But I will tell you, after having done this for 6 years, that is rare. And the number one barrier that we have is service, whether or not a party has been properly served with the application. Service is what gives the court jurisdiction, right? They have their due process rights. I can't make any type of order impacting their right to the child without service. And so you have parents who, they attempt service, they may not know exactly where the other parent lives, or maybe, like we've experienced during the pandemic, issues with USPS, which was horrible, trying to get other parents served. Whatever the case may be, service is the number one issue that we have. One of the parents has not been served with a copy of the application that's before the court. Not to mention, when we reschedule these cases, right, everybody tends to think that they're the only family that's before the magistrate, right? So wrong. We have close to maybe 200 over. I think recently I was close to 300, right, before we got a new magistrate. And so when they're coming before us and we're rescheduling, what they don't understand is we already have a ton of other families that we serviced prior to them, right, that we scheduled in the dates that they would typically like. Well, why can't I come back in a couple of weeks? It just doesn't work that way. I've got a full docket beginning at 9, right, ending to the end of the day with families that I have to service. And so it's not that easy. And not to mention, when you finally do get the party, sometimes you hear some allegations that are pretty serious. Right, which causes me as a jurist to pump the brakes and say, wait a minute, I need to appoint that guardian ad litem who can do an independent investigation, which the jurist cannot do. So now we have to wait for the guardian ad litem to get on board, right? And then the guardian ad litem has to then coordinate his or her schedule with the mother and the father. Right. And sometimes that's not easy to do at all. You've got parents who work, parents who are in school, or maybe another parent who's evasive. And the guardian ad litem is spending time trying to find out, where is this parent? Then they pick up sometimes criminal charges in the middle, right? Or civil protection order is issued, which causes us to pump the brakes again. We can't move forward. We got to figure out what's going on now with this legal piece. So there's so many moving parts to the case. And for an outsider, it looks as if the court is just, sitting on its thumbs and twirling. Trust me, we want these cases off of our docket.
Yes.
Just as soon as the next person. We want to sufficiently service the families, get them on the
Right.
road that they need to be on, but it just doesn't happen like that. And, we do get those cases where mom and dad are pretty civil and they're able to have a conversation and they're willing to negotiate. So we send them to mediation.
Yeah, that's
Go to
true. Mediation handles things when people can get along.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that's important and I'm glad you said that, because so many times, and when I'm out casually, maybe out dining with my husband, and if people find out what I do, they want to automatically start asking questions. And inevitably, I may get a man who says, the courts are against me. And then Al, I want you to kind of get the word out to your people as well, to let them know that the courts are not against people. I know that it can look that way. But we really want to help people, but they have to do things in accordance with the laws and steps that they have to take. But
and that's true. And I do tell people at the end of the day, everybody has the best interest of the child at hand. And you can only control what you can control. Control what you can do as much as you can, and you'll probably be okay. But then sometimes we were talking about sometimes when we're working in different systems, we're working in juvenile court, we're working in child support, we're working in DCFS. Sometimes there's barriers to people working together. I'll give you an example. Someone is trying to, if you talked about serving people, right? We go to juvenile court and they want to serve somebody with some paperwork. And they say, well, we can't find that person. And the father says, well, wait a minute. They're taking child support out of my check and sending the check to the mother. Ask the people in child support. They know where my money is going. Somebody in the system knows where that person is. But then they say, well, child support can't tell you where she is. So then I'm like, well, wait a minute. You can't serve this person because you say you can't find them, but I'm sending money to this particular address. That's when people get frustrated because they say, well, wait a minute. Is the system really working with me to allow me to see my child? But back to that's just an example, but back to your original statement, I'm always telling people, do what you can, do the best you can. Put yourself in the best position to be the preferable parent if you want sole custody, or to be a good parent if you want shared parenting. Because, in theory and deep in everybody's heart, I would hope to think that, hey, we all want the best for the child, whether that be in the house of the dad or whether that be in the house of the mom. And then if we can get everybody working together, it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, that's true. That is the ideal situation. The ideal situation really would be that people wouldn't even have to go to court, that they could just work out things on their own. But unfortunately, if people can't, that's the reason why we have to have a court that can issue decisions and orders for people to follow. But if everybody can all work together, then you're right. Then it would be better served for the best interests of the children. And that is what everybody's goal is, so that we don't have to keep thinking of men. And that's the thing. And I feel bad for a lot of men because they do get a bad rap. And I think that they give up. I think
they do.
Sometimes it looks daunting to them and they just get tired and they just throw their hand. They're like, what, forget it. I'll see the child later or and I just think that's a sad way to have to approach it. But I think it's really sad too. And talking about bad raps about fathers, a lot of companies were sending out emails ahead of their ads saying, if you don't want to get this ad, you can opt out so that you won't have trauma. And I'm like, this is just, but Mother's Day, everybody, is all, nobody would think to send something like that out. And then it just makes people feel like fathers are like these bad people, some of them that aren't, living with their kids. But that's not true. You can be a very good father and not be married to the mother. The ideal situation would be for parents to be married. But
Mhm.
unfortunately, that's just, not always what can happen. Now, does
Well,
anybody
and the other thing is, a lot of times, and everybody, we deal with this, but we find out that the father is the more suitable parent. We
Mhm.
don't talk about those issues
Right.
when, there's a lot of single parent households that are headed by the dads. And we seem to kind of not talk about that. We have a lot of moms who are not paying child support, but we don't call them deadbeat
Right.
moms,
Mhm.
right?
Oh,
Yeah,
Or
it's-
the
I
only
agree with
deadbeats
you.
that talk, you know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
there's that whole perception thing. And in our work, sometimes we say, well, dads, they're not deadbeats, dads are just dead broke dads. You can't get blood out of material. You know what
All
I'm
right.
saying?
That is so true. But you
You
know
know
what?
what I
We
mean?
only unfortunately have so much time that I can devote. But we could go on and on talking about this. But I like all of the people everything that all of you all had to say, because it does all work together. Because if
Mhm.
people can come to Fatherhood Initiative and tell you, look, I want to be in my child's life, I just don't really know what to do, then you could guide them. And the things that Danielle said, they got to get there. They got to make sure that they have their service together. If they can, or if there is a child support order, if they get custody, they need to have jobs. So Maurice offers this workforce development program. Artis is there helping out with her fatherhood practitioner services that she offers. So, but we have to know, and that's why it's important to be educated, and that's why it's just important to always uplift and to help people as much as we can. But I really thank you all so much for taking your time out to be with me.
You're welcome.
All
Thank
right.
you so
Thank
much
you.
for having us.
My pleasure.
Well, that was great. I really enjoyed everybody.
that was exceptional. And that was a great father way to honor fathers, Pam, for Father's Day.
I think so too. Rather than just have the testimonials again, like I did last year, I really wanted to do something to educate fathers, to let fathers know that we are out here, that there are agencies that support them, like what you do and Fatherhood Initiative and what Maurice does, and especially to let them know what their rights are. And I'm so glad that Danielle was speaking to that. So happy
Yes.
Father's Day, everybody.
Father's Day, everybody.
Juneteenth. Yes, and
Happy
thank you.
Juneteenth also. Yes.
And thank you so much, Artis. And until next time, we'll see you for another episode of Public Opinion. Bye-bye.